Good morning, everybody. We gotta get rid of that. Good morning, everybody. So I'm Jeremy Henley. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Quik Fix. And today we're gonna just talk a little bit more about the platform that we built. We launched it here in Southern California. We've been growing it, and it's currently serving customers nationwide. And we most recently were added to the CRMLS marketplace, and that's what Rick was speaking to there earlier. Is that was launched in February, which happened after a very thorough vetting of our company and every nook and cranny, basically, of our technology and what we're doing. And so, just to kind of jump into it, the Quik Fix, it's a home repair marketplace, and as I start to describe what we're doing and how we do it, I really want to try to impress upon you that it's very similar to Uber, but for home repair. And so there's a couple things that Uber does. You basically get on an app, you tell it where you are, where you want to go, and it gives you a price. And then if you agree to that, you get a certain level of driver and a certain level of car that's going to show up and take you from that place to the next place for the price that was agreed upon. And that doesn't really exist in the home repair world. It's very complicated. There's a lot of different types of contractors, and it's the most complicated in a real estate transaction. And so that's what we set out to fix. And where we started was something that I ran across in my own experiences, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But I have a background in real estate, investing, rehabbing. Uh, my parents and one of my brothers are real estate agents. So I've just bought and sold a lot of different properties in a lot of different places in the country, seen lots of home inspections. And for most of my career, that was kind of my side hustle. And during the day, I was selling software, and that was machine learning and artificial intelligence and predictive modeling type software that I was selling, which was sort of related, but we sold it to insurance companies. Some of it was property related type insurance coverages that we were helping them with our AI solutions and modeling. And so I just kind of found my place in this day where I had a problem and I thought I had a way to solve it by combining all of this knowledge and experiences I'd had over time. And it really comes down to this: when you are part of a transaction, whether you're the buyer's agent or you're the listing agent, at some point, the home is typically inspected, and that inspection report comes back, and it looks something like this. On the right side there, that's a one page of a summary of a typical home inspection that we'll see. And your client probably turns to you and says, "Oh my gosh, how much is all this stuff going to cost me? And who do you know that can get the work done? And what things should I do?" And so all of a sudden you're just put in this really difficult position because you probably don't know who's available, or maybe even who to call, or certainly how much it would cost, or what are the most important things to get done. All things you just want to punt and kind of get rid of. But it might keep you from closing a deal. If things go sideways, the deal falls out. We're not making any money now on that. And so I learned how stressful it was on me as a buyer and a seller. And I turned to my agent one day, and he's like, "Oh, this is the hardest part about being a real estate agent. It's the worst part, and it's almost every single transaction that there's a problem related to this. Man, if you had a solution, I'd send you 3 properties today." And that was the beginning of the Quik Fix. Was, I think I can solve this, and ultimately take what you see here on the right side, and instead of it taking a week or more of your time, typically trying to call different contractors, try to convince these contractors, if you're on the buyer side, to go to somebody else's house, one your client doesn't even own yet. They sniff out that it's part of a real estate transaction, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't do that," or "That's going to be a bunch of money for us to come out there." And even if they do come out, you still got to set up the time and meet with each one of the different types of contractors. So meeting multiple contractors, and then they say, "Yeah, I'll get that back to you tomorrow," and it doesn't show up. So you're chasing them down, you're chasing the electrician down, you're chasing the plumber down, you're still trying to find an HVAC contractor, and your window to do all this on your contingencies is closing fast, and it's a humongous headache, and you're worried it's going to fall out. And so we figured out how to solve this problem. We made a marketplace, which is what Uber is. And our marketplace takes the information, we take the home inspection, and we turn it into an accurate quote that can be fulfilled by contractors who are part of our network. Just like Uber drivers are part of their network. We have licensed, bonded, insured, vetted by us contractors all over the place that do all of these different things that come up in home inspections. And our system is good enough at quoting it that these contractors will do the work that we do the quotes for. So they don't even have to be involved. They don't get involved until the work is going to be completed, whether that's part of the transaction or after the transaction. That's when the contractors start to get involved. And so I'm going to jump in now to a quick demo, but I can stop here for your second while I'm switching screens over and answer any questions if anybody has them coming up. In here. Okay. So when you come to our web page, this is where you're at. This is where you land on. That's our landing page. Tons of information here. We'll answer lots of your questions. The features tab is also kind of an easy one to just really see some samples of what things look like and show your clients. I know there's a lot going on in the buyer side of real estate right now with the proposed settlement from NAR and all the things that are going on there. And one of the things that we think it's going to do for us is actually help us a lot because we are a great tool for a buyer's agent to use to help demonstrate more value to their clients and why they deserve to be well paid for what they're doing. This is one tool that really helps show that to your client, and that features page will give you a lot of an easy way to kind of show what it is that we do and the value that you bring to the transaction. So if it's your first time here, you're going to sign up. It's just your name and your email. It doesn't cost anything to open an account. If you are already a user, you'll go log in here. You can just go straight to the get a quote button. So I typically do the demos as if I were the buyer's agent. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So when you first come to this page, if you're a first time user, it's going to be blank. You're just going to have this blue bar here that says, request a new quote. And then when that comes back in, you'll have your first one there. So as an agent, though, all of your clients' quotes can be sitting here for all the different home inspections you've done with your clients. You can invite your client so they can kind of follow along to this specific quote that they're attached to. So they'll log in, they'll only see the one that they made an offer on, but you'll be able to see all of them. And this is important, what you'll see as we dive in here a little bit deeper. And so I'm just going to go ahead and click new quote request. So this is the moment where your home inspections come in, you and the client are talking about it, and let's understand what the costs are here so we know what we're getting ourselves into. Whether we're going to ask for a credit or not, we want to know what we're getting ourselves into. When the market was super hot, you might not be getting any credits, but you at least want to know what you're getting into. Or as the market starts to shift at some point and the buyers have a lot more power, how much should I be asking for? And so we're going to just enter in the address. We ask for the closing date. The reason we do that is on one side, if it's the buyer, we can kind of predict that the deal is going to close at the end of the month, let's say, or 30 days from now. And if they're going to hire us, it's probably going to be in those first few days right after the deal closes. So it sort of helps us project what's going to be happening in our business. The other one is we do this on the listing side as well. And on the listing side, we can get paid at the closing, get paid out of the proceeds through escrow at the closing of the sale. That is really, really helpful if it's like a VA loan and the seller has to repair something that is going to keep the loan from closing. So we're really good at being able to do that. And let's say they don't have any money to fund a new HVAC system or something like that. So we can do deals where we do it at closing. And for that reason, we want to, again, know when it's closing so that we can ideally have the work done, 3-4 days ahead of time for final walkthroughs and sign-offs and to get that deal done. We ask you to tell us who you are in the transaction. So I said I'll be the buyer's agent. And on to the next. And then the only thing we need is the general inspection report. So we want the whole thing. Even if you only want repairs for a couple things, we want to see the whole thing because often there's data in those things that helps inform our quote and make it accurate that might not be in the specific area where they're talking about the angle stop is leaking, or the panel is has been recalled and should be switched out. It might say that there, but it doesn't necessarily say how many amps the panel is and things like that in that same section. That's often another section. So some of these software have ways to summarize things. We prefer to see the whole thing. If you have already done kind of the limiting of things down, you sat down with your client ahead of this and said, let's look at getting the plumbing and the electrical and some of these other safety items done. You can put that in a repair request in any format, just so it's clear to us, which things you want in there, and we will limit the quote when it comes back to you. So some of the, people who haven't seen this before, they say, oh, I don't want to scare my client away if it's a big number. So you can limit it there. So it's only the things that they care about. But you can also use our software. It's interactive when you get your quote, and you can limit it that way as well. And so you can upload that repair request if you have it. It's optional. And then the other thing you can do is upload additional documents. And what we use that for is typically like a sewer line, like a video scope of the sewer line, or if you had someone come out and take a look at the pool that's a pool specialist or roof specialist, you can go ahead and add those things in here. And then there's a free text box where you want to say, I only care about the plumbing stuff, or maybe they want the house repainted, or they want new carpet, which isn't something that typically gets flagged at the home inspection unless it's really poor. But maybe they want a quote to do repainting the interior or the exterior. They can put that there, and they'll get a quote from us to do that as well. So that's that piece of it. And then we have add participant. So when we talk about adding a participant, this is where the agent can add in their client, and then their client can follow along. So they'll get the notification at the same time you do when the quote is ready. Or, we do charge $60 is our retail because you guys are part of CRMLS. That code will get you a $20 discount. And so, if you buy it for your client, you can do that. If your clients are paying for it, this is where they would invite you so that you can also see and follow along. I'll skip that for now. And then we get to the payment screen here. So all of you can use CRMLS, and that will give you the $20. I'm also going to give you a QR code at the end of this today, where if you scan it and enter in your email, we'll actually send you a code to try it for free the first time, just to get you in there and using it and seeing how truly easy and simple it is. So use this so I don't have to pay for it this time. And that's it. So I know I was talking through that entire process, and it took me, 5 or 6, 10 minutes maybe. But when you go on and do this, especially your second or third time, this is going to take you like 2 minutes or something to upload the PDF and pay. And by tomorrow, always within 24 hours, you will have a quote from us that is accurate and extremely detailed, which we'll see here in just a second. So what's happening now? How do we do this and do it so fast and keep it accurate? What has happened now is on our backside, our system sees that home inspection come in. Here's a sample of the one that we just uploaded. So it sees this, and our software, our AI that we created, starts to read this, and it reads and figures out that, oh, for example, the sink stops need to be looked at. The angle stop has corrosion, and so it's reading those things, and it's pulling in a task into this data from our database into this quote. So it says, oh, the home inspector said the angle stop's corroded. That means we need to replace the angle stop. That's kind of an easy one, but it's good for an example. And this is in the plumbing section, and this is referenced here as 3.3.2, and it looks like it's just one angle stop. And so in our system, he's going to read that and create a quote that's going to look like this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the plumbing one here. And there's our ankle stop. And there it is 3.3.2. And it's one. Let's say, they took a picture of that one, but that the other one's probably on its way to being corroded. So let's just make it 2. You, as the user of our platform, can change the quantities of things to make it more accurate. And you saw probably there that it changed the pricing, changes the totals. And so now we not only saved you the time of having to deal with the contractors and go meet with the contractors and hassle them to get the quote back. When it comes back and the things aren't quite right, or you want it different in some way, you can do a lot of these things yourself to change these quantities to help get everything dialed in just right. Another one we commonly see is in the electrical area, where we'll see GFIs. The inspector will say, you have GFIs in the kitchen and the garage and the outdoor areas, and maybe there's no picture, or there's a picture and there's a red arrow that points at one in the kitchen, but that was like 7 that need to be replaced. Okay, we'll add, oops, didn't mean to do that. We'll add on 7 more here. And then we're actually going to want all these things done. So I can just hit this and get all the electrical added to this thing. And so you can kind of see how what we've done is we've given you a quote for everything, but now you can start building your shopping cart, so to speak. So now I'm going to add in that food disposer that wasn't working. We're going to add in the chimney. We'll get the chimney cleaned and inspected. The concrete work, there was a trip hazard, so the sidewalk was probably lifting up. I'm not going to worry about that right now. There was kind of a wet, moldy spot. We definitely want to get that taken care of, so we add that in there. So let's get the HVAC. So the HVAC's flagged. The home inspector said it's old, but still working. So your client probably wants to know, what is that going to cost me when it does go out? I don't necessarily need to ask for that as a credit, but now I have an idea. And you can come back and buy this from us later. This sticks around and stays in our system, so they can come back and get things fixed over time too. But let's say they do want to recharge the cooling system because it's not working. So we'll add that in there. Let's look at the landscape stuff. There's a big tree hanging over the edge of the roof. Let's get rid of that. And then, sorry, got the plumbing stuff. Let's add in all the plumbing stuff because that's no good. So that's all in there. And then we got the roof stuff. Add in the roof, get kind of a roof tune-up going there. Some window stuff. I'm not worried about the window right now. And something else that you wouldn't see that. That's because I didn't spend time to customize this one. So now you can go to these buttons up here. If you haven't shared it with your client, this button shares it with whoever you need to share it with. This one lets you download different versions of this. So zoom back out here. You can download everything, all 35 tasks and 13 different specialties. And 13 specialties, by the way, if you were to try to get a quote for everything that was in this home inspection we looked at, you would have had to call probably 13 different contractors and try to have 13 or more meetings at someone else's house to get the level of detail that we have here. So you went through this with your client, you narrowed it down to 20 things you care about, 8 specialties, and it produces this for you. So now you've got something that you can include with your repair credit request and say, you know what, we need that angle stop done at 3.32. And the reason we did that was because we know that sometimes this becomes part of the agreement that these specific items are going to be done, especially when it's on the selling side. These items are going to be done. So we want it to be extremely specific, so there's no fighting about who said what and what thing we were talking about. And these are all hard lessons I've learned at some point doing these kinds of things. And so that's been built into the system as well. So now we can go back and not ask for $5,000 or $10,000. We can go back and say, we would like $6,621 for all these different things. It's 8 different specialties. We're asking for 20 things. And, here's the labor and the material price. And we can get a contractor hired to get it done for these things all through this platform. Zoom back out here. So now you took that, you had a successful negotiation, your client loves you, they move into their house, and they are now ready to go and get these things repaired. So they come down here. This is where it's different than Uber, where this part's a lot more complicated, getting to the price, right? But now that we've done that, now your client can come in here because you've shared it with them, and they don't call us and say, hey, when can contractors come out? They tell us, this is when I'm good and would like to have the contractors come to my house and do this work. So we've reversed it that way too. So they say, these days are good for me. Here's our gate codes, 1, 2, 3. Anything else we might need to know in there? Maybe you're handling the repairs for them, like coordinating it because they're out of town, or some other reason that somebody else is the contact for this. So we collect that information, one more chance to just kind of see the summary of what they're buying, the days they want to have us do it, the terms and conditions, and then they approve the repairs. So this would be your client now, not necessarily you. And you can see here, if possible, to go through closing of escrow and be paid out of the proceeds, we collect that information and we handle that for you too. And this one will say we pay the balance here, so they can pay for the whole thing, but they can pay 10% to get started, put in the credit card info, and as soon as they hit pay there, what happens is the work orders for these different specialties are generated. And let's just open up the plumbing one. So there's everything the plumber's going to do, right? But there's 8 different ones that we're looking at here. So they don't have to deal with all these different contractors. We do everything for them, right? We're handling the scheduling, handling the payment. What we do is in our network of different types of contractors, we send this out to a couple of plumbers and a couple of appliance folks and HVAC folks and electricians and all these categories. We send it out to 2 or 3. They'll see what you just saw there. Open the electrical one now. They'll see, okay, I can go out to Edgewater and San Marcos any of these days, do this work. I can see pictures of it from the home inspection. I can see what the home inspector described as the issue. I know that this is what I'm getting paid to do. So it keeps them on task and very honest and transparent about what work we expect them to do. And it also helps the client know that they're going to do the right thing. And it prevents a lot of the issues, quite honestly, that people deal with contractors of misunderstandings and missed expectations. A lot of it just has to do with communication, and it's just not what they're good at. They're not great at the communication, the scheduling, the payment collection, answering the questions. They're good at doing the work, and that's when they get paid, is when they do the work. So they love this system that gives them access to this work without having to do the selling part of it and getting the business done part of it. So the contractor, let's say, Eddie's electrical, who's on our system in good standing, showing us bond, insurance, license number's been validated. He says, I'll take that job. I can be there between 8 and 10 on the 25th. You and your client now are going to get a message from us that says, Eddie Electric, eight and 10. So you'll see that message come through. Now your client is the one driving this at this point, but you know now that, oh, this is great. They're being taken care of. I can see they got the electrical scheduled for the 24th. And then, these other messages will start to pop in, and the plumbing's going to also be on the 24th, but later in the afternoon. HVAC guy is going to be there also in the afternoon. The appliance guy is going to be there the next day at 9 o'clock. So you know that they're being taken care of. If there's anything that comes up, you'll see those messages going back and forth as well. You can turn that off if you want, but it gives you a sense that it's all working and they're going to become a great referral for you because you got them from this horrible home inspection experience when they first opened it up to now they're getting work done and everything's good and everybody's happy. And so when they do that and they approve that work, you also get a coupon from us as an agent. So your next one is free. So I said, we'll do the free code at the end of this, but there's a way to not even have to pay for this as an agent if your clients are using us. And we just do that to encourage you, to remind them that, it doesn't stop at this quote thing. It's actually an actual, we can get this stuff done type of quote. And then the last thing I'll show you here is if we go back to our quote. So I didn't pay for this, so it's got the red bar up there. But if I go back to the quote, this is everything we just signed up to do. But I can go to unapproved tasks and I still have all those items sitting there. So I mentioned the HVAC unit. They might be curious about what that costs. And they didn't do anything with it at the time of closing because it was summer was coming and it was still sort of working or was working. But now it's been 6 months or it's been a year. They can come back to the system. It'll still be sitting here and they can say, I do want to get that replaced. And the lines outside, they don't have insulation still, so let's get that done. And I definitely want to, well, the dream panel be included with the new one. So now they can come back and they can get these things done too. So it lives on, right? And now they have a good record of these things that are done. Let's say it's 4 or 5 years later, 6, 7 to 10 years later, they're ready to sell. They've got proof that they at least did all of these things with us. It's kind of like having your receipts from the dealership when you buy a car, right? If the person you're buying the car from has the dealer receipts, you feel better about it. Where we want to get to with the company is where we're even closer to like a certified pre-owned car you buy from the dealership versus when you buy off of Craigslist in someone's driveway, which I would say is a little bit closer towards, buying a home. Obviously agents are involved and there's a lot more data on it in general, but in terms of the condition, if you take the car down to a mechanic and get it inspected, that's helpful, but you still need to know what everything costs and know what you're getting yourselves into. Whereas I think people in the car world definitely prefer, if they can afford it, the pre-owned, certified dealer by the dealer version of the used car, because it was handled by a licensed, dealer specific, manufacturer specific mechanic. In that case, you can see a detailed record of everything that was done, and it's going to make that car more valuable. So by doing this, it makes your buying transaction go better, and then when they come back to you to sell it down the road, you're going to have much better detail of the true pride of ownership they've had in taking care of their home and getting it done. So let me go back to this. This, if you've got your phone handy, hopefully you do. If you scan this and enter your email address, we will email you a code to do the first one free. So I'm just going to leave that up there for a second. I'm going to close my door because I hear my kids talking. It's spring break here. And I'll answer any questions you all have.
Hey, Jeremy, this is Rick. So we had a couple questions in the chat. So the first one was from Jan Yang. And how many estimates do you get?
So I think what you're asking is are you asking how many bids do we get to come up with our pricing? If that's the case, we do the pricing, and we have a general contractor on our team. He's one of the co-founders of the company, and we've gone through. It was painful, but we've gone through about 1,600 different tasks that are the things that get flagged in home inspections, and figured out how to price it accurately based on the information in the home inspection and information we can get from other places on the web. So, whether that's something might be more or less expensive based on the value of the home or the square footage of the home, the style of the home, um, those kinds of things we've accounted for. So I kind of talked a little bit about how the AI reads the home inspection and then turns it into that quote. What I don't think I spoke about today is there's two more steps. So once we've built out that quote, which takes us about a minute, we still have a human that looks at it. So there's one level. But we also have a process that pulls the address, and it uses all this data that I'm talking about to make adjustments to the quote. So if you take like an angle stop or a GFI or a P-trap drain under the sink, if it's a $15 million home on the beach or it's a $500,000 condo somewhere else, those things, the material is going to be very similar, if not the same price. The labor could be a little bit different based on what area that it's in. Certainly if it's in the Midwest or some other part of the country, the labor is going to be different, but the material might stay the same. So on something where the material changes, like the faucet above that drain, that kitchen faucet in one property versus the other might vary quite a bit. And so our system takes that into account and figures that pricing out. So because we do that, the contractors, they just accept our pricing and know that we're good enough at it that we're basically like a sales rep for that contractor. Hope that
Okay,
answers the
thank
question.
you. And then the other question that we had came from Diane Stone. Not really sure on the question. So where was the code from? It was a G something. I don't know. Diane, would you like to unmute and ask the question directly?
I think it was when he was entering the request for the repairs. I kind of forgot. It was in the middle.
Just the code to get the discount?
I thought it was, maybe that was it. Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah. So since you guys are part of CRMLS, the code is CRMLS, and you'll get a $20 off. If you scan this thing on the screen right now, the first one will be free for you. We'll email you a code, and that'll be a kind of a unique code for you. to use. And when you do that, that first one's free. So you can try this thing out and see for yourself if it works for you.
So as many estimates as we want, it's all the same, $59.95.
So that's for each property. With
For
that
each property, right? For each property.
but you can put it in as many, we'll do the whole general home inspection and any other, supplementary inspections. The one thing that's difficult is sometimes like termite inspections, because they don't often have images. It's just, you've seen them. It's a box and a bunch of
Right.
numbers around it, right? So when it's accompanied with a good home inspection, the home inspector is going to flag a lot of the stuff they see on the eaves and patio covers and decks and things like that. And so the same stuff will be quoted. It'll just be quoted from the general home inspection. And then we're not going to do tinting and any other treatments for termites through our platform anyways.
Are all, it says licensed, they're bonded and insured?
Yes. So anything over $500 in California, they need to be licensed, bonded, and insured contractors. And so we set our minimum at $500, and we only have contractors who are licensed, bonded, and insured who get the work.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the other questions we often get is where do the contractors come from? And so that's one of the things that we've kind of developed a little bit of a secret sauce on, but we find them online first, like a lot of people do, but it's them going through our vetting process. That's kind of what we've really learned and gotten really good at. But quite honestly, most of the contractors are finding us. So they find us because they have an interest. They probably went to some seminar that told them, here's some ways to grow your business. Contact real estate agents. They have opportunities for you. And they're like, great. And real estate agents are kind of easy to find. You guys are out there. So they find you and they start marketing, and they, come to events even, and they're marketing, but then they get a home inspection and they're like, oh my God, this is so painful for me as a contractor to fill out this quote for you, that it becomes kind of like a love-hate thing for them. And so when they see what we're doing, they're like, I want that business. I just don't want the process of selling it and getting it done. And so most of them that we have actually come from agents who have people they like that they work with, or contractors who are doing marketing in similar places that we are, and checked us out and then joined the platform that way.
So we had a follow-up question. Did you say a client can use this directly or only agents?
Clients can use it directly. They'll have to pay the full price. Actually, if there's pop-ups sometimes and stuff, or they'll get like $10 off, that kind of thing. But yeah, anybody can use it. All you need is a home inspection from any home inspector you want to work with. Upload that, pay the fee, and you'll get a quote from us.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Jeremy? Well, looks like it's quiet in the chat. Nobody's unmuting. All right. Okay. Well, I guess that is it. Anything else you want to share before we wind it up today, Jeremy?
You can find us at our website. It's going to be kind of the one thing I'll remind you of is we have to spell Quik Fix kind of funny, QWIK, because we are doing well, but we don't have enough money yet to pay for buying it the right way. It's really expensive to buy that URL, it turns out. So the QuikFix.com is where to go to. We can answer a lot of questions right there on the website. We also have the chat bots and things like that are really good and staffed most of the time, and we'll be able to help you out with a lot of the questions that typically come up if they do. But as you saw, it's a pretty straightforward process, and you're gonna save so much time, and you're gonna love it. But appreciate everyone's time today and give me a chance to speak with you all, and feel free to call us or follow up with us online.
We have one more question that just popped up, but just a reminder to everybody. And in addition to the website, you can access the Quik Fix on CRMLS. When you log into the MLS, there's going to be the little icon there that you can click on and also access the Quik Fix there. The question that just came in, is the work guaranteed, or how is the work guaranteed?
Yeah, Yes, it is. So everything has a 1-year warranty. That's another benefit of using the licensed contractors is they have to warranty things. So there's other specific tasks that have a longer warranty too. So it depends on the thing, but for example, a new roof is going to be warranted much longer than a year. There's other things like that too, but certainly a 1 year. And we're kind of the middleman, the go-between. We're like your client's agent to deal with contractors. So if there is a problem, they would come to us and we would take care of it. And like I said, these contractors, they love getting this work from us because it keeps them busier and making money versus chasing deals. And because of that, they perform really well for us. And when things come up occasionally, they hop on it and get out there and take care of it. And if they don't, we've got experience on how to deal with that too and still get you taken care of. So so yeah, it's a great system in that sense too, where things don't work out or something just falls apart before it should or wasn't done correctly. We're going to get that fixed too.
Okay, great. Well, I got last chance. Last chance for any questions while Jeremy's still here. So Jane just says very useful information. Thank you. Irene says thank you. Yeah, so there's been quite a few thank yous that have come over. So
Awesome.
Jeremy, thank you for just setting aside some time just to share the Quik Fix with our members. And yeah, we look forward to just working with you in the future as we move forward.
Great. Thanks everyone. Have a good rest of the week.
All right. Bye-bye.